Hey y'all, it's me, Dri. So this week, I don't know, I did something that I haven't done in 3 or maybe 4 summers. It's gonna sound silly, but I went to the neighborhood pool. And I went there all by myself. So yeah, on the surface, that probably doesn't sound like a whole lot, but for me, I don't know. It was every single sign that I needed, that I've recovered from something so much bigger than just that. You see, when I got my cancer diagnosis and then immediately following, my marriage unexpectedly completely collapsed. Those two experiences happening together as a spiraled chain event, it completely changed the way my nervous system was able to move through the world. But the trauma that I experienced through those things, it didn't take away the things that I loved. What it did take away was my ability to feel safe enough to participate in them. For instance, my golf cart. Every time I look at my golf cart, I don't just see a golf cart. I see the life that was interrupted 6 years ago. Every time I look at all my fishing poles lined up in the garage, I don't just see fishing poles. I remember the version of me that used to sit peacefully on a dock, fishing, or trying to. That was all before survival became my full-time job. And the interesting part, I guess, is I never stopped wanting to do those things. In fact, because I was associating to them in a negative way, I replaced it all. I bought new fishing poles that I liked even more than those old ones. I even replaced my golf cart with a much better, bigger version than I had before my life fell apart. The whole stage of my life, it was all rebuilt. But for whatever reason, for the last 6 years, the stage has been here, but I can't seem to walk onto it because my nervous system has decided quietly that the activities that I like to do, they weren't safe unless someone else was there with me. I didn't need somebody else to be there to participate. It's because I needed them to feel safe enough to participate myself. And that is a very different thing. But this past Sunday, something changed. I think for the very first time in maybe my whole life, I became my own safety net. And it started out with something so simple, just an idea. I was caught up on all of my stuff and I just thought, I'll just go to the pool, get some sun. I wanted to break down some tarot cards and cool off in the water. Nothing profound, just go to the pool. But here's the thing. Most of the people that I have spent the last 3 or 4 summers avoiding by going to the pool, they were there. And that's what surprised me. Not that they showed up when I was there, because of course they did. That's my luck. But what surprised me is that I really hardly noticed, or it didn't hit my body the way that I would have expected it to. They didn't occupy my thoughts while I was there, and they did not interrupt my peace. Them being present within my visual range, it didn't change my experience whatsoever. And for years, I thought that it was their presence that was the reason I couldn't go to the pool. But I realized this Sunday that they weren't the reason. My nervous system was the reason. And now my nervous system, it's not asking me to leave the pool. It was letting me stay there. So I stayed for over 2 hours by myself. And instead of leaving feeling exhausted, burnt out from the sun, I left feeling energized. Almost like I had just climbed over a major hurdle that I didn't even realize I was still carrying with me. So, with the end of the pool day, I got on my golf cart to head home. And I drove right past my house. Now, if you know me, you know this next part is probably pretty funny, because I actually did stop by the house. But I only stopped to go in the garage and grab a 100-foot extension cord, because I did figure that if I was going to run out of my battery somewhere, the length of that extension cord was definitely going to matter. And that's about as adventurous as I am for so long. I'm always prepared, and Sunday, like no other day, I was gonna be prepared before I disappeared. So I packed that up on my golf cart. I turned my music back up and I bounced. I had no destination. I had no timeline. I had no reason. I just took off. And somewhere along that ride, I realized something. I wasn't watching the clock, and I wasn't wondering if I should head back, or I didn't think to myself that maybe this wasn't as fun as it sounded. I also wasn't thinking about everything I had forgot to bring. I didn't even have water, but I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about who wasn't beside me. And I wasn't thinking about how nice it would be if somebody else was there with me. So, for the first time, my attention wasn't on all the things that were missing or wrong with what I was doing. Instead, my attention was completely absorbed by what was actually happening. I rode through neighborhoods I've never explored. I found pulled off the pavement. I watched the sun start settling into its golden hour. I did have to stop once to top off my battery before heading back home. So it was good that I brought that cord, but I just kept going. And somewhere on that Sunday, somewhere between that neighborhood pool, the music, the gravel roads, and the golden light, I felt something run through my veins, and I don't think I've ever felt what I felt before. And the only word that can come to my mind is liberation. Not excitement, not happiness. Liberation, because I wasn't escaping my life. I was finally, after 6 years, on Sunday, I started participating in it again. And that's what hit me. Because I realized I didn't stop doing these things because I stopped loving them. No. I stopped doing them because trauma convinced my nervous system those things weren't safe anymore. Not unsafe because of the golf cart, and not unsafe because of the fishing poles, but unsafe because they reminded me of the life that had been so suddenly interrupted. Everything about Sunday, it didn't remind me of what I lost, and that was a first. But instead, everything reminded me that I'm still here when I wasn't supposed to be. I'm still here. And for the first time, me by myself, in my body, in my mind, I am enough. And I don't think this means my healing is over, because I do believe that healing is linear. And I'm sure there will still be days my nervous system needs a little more care than others. But Sunday, this was a major step for me, because I didn't need another person. I didn't even ask for another person. I didn't need anybody to make my world safe enough for me to enjoy it. I became that person. And if you know me, if you've watched this journey over the last several years, then I know you'll understand why this feels so profound. Because this isn't me returning to an old version of myself. There wasn't an old version of me that knew how to do what I'm doing today. What I'm doing is entirely new, and man, all I can really say is being alive after so long of not being alive. Being alive today, it feels entirely brand new. I don't know how to explain it. I could be perfectly content if my soul tribe never arrives. That's what Sunday showed me. I've taken the time and I've gotten right on the internal part of me, and now I think it's time peek out of my shell. Just a little bit. Anyway, that's the thought that I have for y'all today. It was a big day for me, and it really was a happy one. I can't remember feeling that happy. I know that I have to have, but it felt good that I was able to create that whole day, 5 hours away from my house, in my own company. It's really cool. Anyways, I want to remind you that where there's love, there is light. If you made it to the end, drop me a comment and let me know. Like my message. I'll see you guys again